So in this video, I'm going to talk. Sorry. So in this video, I'm going to talk about the first teams that qualified that aren't the host um, to the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Um, as of right now, as of the recording of this video, um, sorry, I'm trying to. Oh, come on. Sorry, I should have pull up the qualifier stuff. So, all right, here we go. So, one, two, three, four. There were four teams that qualified in March of 2025. And I'm going to talk about those four uh, because then I'll talk about the next teams that qualify. Obviously, once we get to the nitty gritty and UEFA starts qualifying and Africa starts qualifying, um, and CONCACAF starts qualifying, the videos will probably get longer. But for now, I'm going to talk about Japan, New Zealand, Iran, and Argentina. So let's start with Japan. So Japan was officially the fourth team to have their ticket to the 2026 World Cup and the first one to qualify through qualifiers. They did so on March 20, 2025, after winning their group that had Australia, Saudi Arabia, Indonesia, Bahrain, and China. Uh, Japan, Japan has been on an upward momentum. 2028, they were this close of eliminating Belgium. I can't remember if it was in the freaking round of 16. I think it was the round of 16. And then Japan in the 2022 World Cup were this close of going to the quarterfinals again after going to penalties versus Croatia. Now, what I'm kind of having trouble with Japan is the fact that that type of um, performance has not translated to the AFC Asian Cup. And let me explain. Let me pull it up. AFC Asian Cup. Yes. So they're currently doing qualifiers for the 2027. Now, after the 2018 World Cup, there was the 2019 Asian Cup. Japan won that. All right. So wait, no, sorry, I was looking at wrong. I was like, wait, no, that didn't make any sense. Japan ended up in second place, losing to Qatar. To Qatar. To Qatar. They lost to Qatar in the final, which a lot of people are saying there was some shady stuff, but it is what it is. Um, let's see here. What else? Okay. Yes. All right. So Japan in that tournament. Ooh, looking at this all wrong. Um, I'm telling. There's no planning here. Just going through everything one by one. Dang, there were okay. So there were with Uzbekistan, Oman, Turkestan. They got all 9 points, and then came the knockout stage in which Japan beat Saudi Arabia 1-0, beat Vietnam 1-0, beat Iran 3-0, and then somehow lost to Qatar 3-1. It makes no sense to me. But that's why there's a lot of people saying like they like after the performance that they had in at the World, not even Qatar, the performance that they had in Japan over at um, the 2018 World Cup, they should have won this. And so to lose 3-1 to Qatar, a team that's never been to the World Cup before at this point, um, it made no sense. 3-1 also, like there were a lot of like suspiciousness there. Then 2023 came around, and Japan didn't even make it to the final. Qatar, once again, the who had horrible World Cup the year prior, won again, winning their second title. Um, it, I don't know. This video is about Japan, not Qatar. So let me find Japan. Okay, Japan ended up in second place here. They beat Vietnam. They lost to Iraq, and then they beat Indonesia. Then in the knockout stage, Japan ended up beating Bahrain 3-1, and then losing to Iran 2-1, getting eliminated in the quarterfinals. So this is a thing that I'm then kind of interested in, kind of like examining. How is it that Japan, when it comes to the World Cup, is a force to, is like a thorn on the side, but yet it comes to their own regional, the AFC, and that hasn't transpired yet. They haven't won the AFC. At least to me, they should have won the 28-19, and then this 20. I don't know. I don't know what happened in the 2023, but now they are the first team to qualify through qualifiers in the AFC. So I do not have any concerns as to whether Japan is going to perform at the World Cup, because for some reason they do. Maybe it's the fact that they're the biggest stage of them all, and they want to show the world that of their football. Um, Qualifiers wise, sorry, back to the qualifiers. So Japan's games, they tied Australia, they tied Saudi Arabia, they beat Bahrain. Nope, yeah, they beat Bahrain. And they beat China whenever they were home. When they were away, they lost to Australia. They beat Saudi Arabia 2-0. They beat Indonesia 4-0. They beat Bahrain 5-0, and then they beat China 3-1. So, and Japan has one game left, which is against Indonesia. It's in Japan, and Japan can end up having, yeah. And if they win, which the expectation is that they do, Japan is going to end up with 23 points, um, in front of, ahead of Australia. If Australia wins, it's going to be 4 points. So this is what is what what's good about Japan. They perform well when it comes to qualifiers and when it comes to the World Cup. For some comparing reason, AFC is kind of like their Achilles heel or whatever. So how do I see them? Once again, Japan is the team that a lot of people are expecting to better represent the AFC um, region, and that's I mean, look at the qualifiers, and and that's the only thing they have for them is that consistently for the past two World Cups they have been the one team that a lot of teams, when it comes to AFC teams, they're like, oh, okay, uh, yo, Japan is doing something. They were beating Belgium. Unfortunately, they lost in regular time, and then they went to penalties with Croatia. So I feel like they're there, they're there, but now they just kind of, I don't know. They're almost there. You can feel it. You can feel it. All right, you can feel it. So I genuinely think with Japan, they're gonna have once again another good tournament. I do not see them winning it, but I do believe that Japan at this World Cup can uh, perform at at another high level as well. So um, my only concern is that whatever is happening over with them and the AFC happens to them over at the World Cup. So that's kind of the one thing that we're going to be focusing on. New Zealand was the second team to qualify, and they did so on the 24th of March in 2025. This one was kind of a no-brainer. You can ask anyone, anyone that knows about international football, who is the one team now that OFC, which is the region that New Zealand plays on, now that OFC has one assured spot at the World Cup, who is going to take that? 100%. I would say 99.99% of people will tell you straight up New Zealand. They're literally the team that has always been, that has gone to the World Cup as the OFC nation whenever Australia um, didn't go, or ever since Australia moved to AFC, or New Zealand is playing the, what's it called, the playoff to the World Cup. It's always been New Zealand. New Zealand has always been the OFC representational team. And when it comes to the World Cup, there was that one weird time when Tahiti qualified to the FIFA Confederations Cup, but that's about it. um, so yeah, this one was kind of a no-brainer. New Zealand um, won their essentially their qualifiers. So yeah, so OFC's qualifiers have been done since, I don't know when they played. Yeah, they OFC's qualifiers have been done since March 24, 25, which is when New Zealand beat New Caledonia 3-0, which then now becomes New Caledonia becomes the new team to be like the second team to be present at the playoffs. But now, here's the thing about New Zealand. New Zealand is like the powerhouse in this region. 100% the powerhouse. That's about it. So it amazes me whenever New Zealand doesn't win something, because that's how much is expected for New Zealand to literally clean house in this region. Um, and honestly, because I mean the rest of the nations in that in this uh, region are either not nations themselves, like they're part of another country, or they are a free country, but soccer obviously isn't the main thing that they're focusing on. Um, so I really can't say honestly. New Zealand, I don't expect them to do. I genuinely think that they're going to be one of the teams that isn't going to really um, do anything. If I'm wrong, I will accept that. But even now, like beforehand, New Zealand could barely qualify. And I think there was that one World Cup where they didn't lose, but they didn't win either, and they ended up with 3 points. They didn't go to the next round. But like New Zealand, that's New Zealand. New Zealand, as much as the year has progressed, they haven't uh, truly made a big jump to catch up. While they have been growing, the rest of the world has been growing as well. So um, New Zealand, now at the World Cup, but I feel I think they're going to be the only OFC. I genuinely do not believe New Caledonia is going to make something out of the playoffs, especially when you see the other teams that are going to play there. Um, oh, thank you. um, because from the other confederations, they're going to be coming from CONCACAF, CONMEBOL, which is South America, and Africa, and AFC. So I don't think New Caledonia is going to qualify. So, but that this is not about New Caledonia. This is about New Zealand. Obviously, there is also the chance that once again New Zealand cannot lose and not win again, and they can just end up having with the 3 points and be the only team to be eliminated without having lost, but without having win either. But honestly, outside of OSC, New Zealand hasn't really done anything. Um, they can be a thorn on the side to the teams like lower, but uh, to the teams that we think that they're going to be um, fighting for the actual trophy, I don't think New Zealand is going to do. Um, I don't think New Zealand's going to beat them. They obviously going to show up and play their game, um, but at the end of the day, I don't see New Zealand um, doing much unless one of the lower teams from AFC or um, heck even CONCACAF and um, AFC or even CONMEBOL, since like Venezuela and Colombia is kind of right there. Um, New Zealand could essentially tie or even beat those teams, but again, we don't know what group New Zealand's going to be in, given that they haven't done that yet. So yeah, so that's New Zealand. The third team to qualify was Iran, uh, which happened on March 25th, 2025, and they did so after winning their group in the qualifiers. They had Uzbekistan, United Arab Emirates, Qatar, Kyrgyzstan, and North Korea. Now, Iran is that other team in the AFC alongside Saudi Arabia and Japan. Excuse me. That they can compete. They can compete, and we saw that in the 2022 World Cup when they had England, United States, and Wales in their group. They beat Wales. I think they lost to United States by the minimum, um, and then lost to England. This is how bad I can't remember how bad England was in that World Cup. But Iran is a team that can not necessarily become a dark horse, but will definitely progress if the other teams um, make mistakes or are lower or of equal thing. Like for example, the game against United States, that game could have ended in a tie. Um, the game against Wales, Iran showed that they were better, and then against England, they put up a good fight, but I believe they still ended up losing. Um, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I mean, I could look it up here, but okay. But yeah, so Iran, I believe, is another team that could obviously be a thorn on the side, much like Japan. Iran is a team that consistently at the World Cup and AFC, they're consistent, uh, which is weird because Japan, on one side, they're good at the World Cup, but there hasn't shown too much on the AFC tournament. And then Iran, they go to the World Cup and they put up a good fight, even though the majority of the time it hasn't gone their way. And same thing, the AFC. They with the AFC they kind of progress more because the teams um, tend to be lower ranked. But even still, Iran is consistent. Is consistent in the fact that it feels like their football hasn't. How do you say, like, it feels like it hasn't like grown, but it hasn't gone worse either. It's just been consistent. And even if it has like grown, it's grown to like a degree that you can't tell if they're grown because they're still, keeping up with higher level teams, but still falling short, and then beating the lower ranked teams and looking strong. So that's kind of like that's kind of like how my experience with watching Iran. So I personally believe that they can perform well at this World Cup that's upcoming in 2026. Um, Again, I do not see them as a title contenders, but they could definitely go far in this tournament, depending on where they're at and who they have to end up facing. So, yes, that is Iran. And lastly, the current World Cup winners. Argentina qualified on March 25th, 2025, and they they have done so in spectacular fashion. As of right now, as of this video, Argentina has 34 points, with second place being Ecuador having 24 points, only because they started the qualifiers with -3, which means Ecuador could have had, sorry, 27. They could have ended up having 27 points. But here's the thing, Argentina, and it amazes me how they've lost 3 games, and yet they're still 10 points ahead of second place, which goes to show you how crazy these qualifiers are. Even last place Chile, who can no longer qualify directly to the World Cup, but can qualify to the international playoffs, they have double points, and that's crazy. There's 3 games left. Tomorrow is Tuesday. The it's do or die for Chile. But if Venezuela like wins, they have, I'm sorry, 21 points. They would have 21 points, and they're in 7th place. They would tie Colombia and Uruguay. And surprisingly, Venezuela is playing Uruguay, I believe. Let me double check that. No, not qualified teams, matches. Gotta go down, gotta go down. Oop, went down too fast. Okay. Yes, Venezuela is playing Uruguay. I don't think Venezuela's going to win. But that's how close everybody else besides Argentina is. So check this out. Second place, 24. Third place, 24. Fourth place, 22. Fifth place, 21. Sixth place, 21. Seventh place, 18. Like, that's crazy. That is second to seventh. And then obviously then we have the last 3, Bolivia, Peru, Chile, 14, 11th, and 10. Like, that's how close the rest of the teams are. And Argentina's just up there with 34 points. Now, are they contenders to go back to back, to be the first World Cup champs to go back to back since, I don't know, who was the last time? Let me let me go back so I can see the not host results. Italy did so in 1934 and 1938. Brazil did it in 58 and 62. Brazil was the last one. And there's only been 2 teams who have gone back to back. Italy in 34, 38, and Brazil in 58, 62. So Argentina could become the next back to back. and they are one of the favorites to win this tournament again. Um, they're coming in strong. There's people that want to see if they truly are ready. They want La Finalissima between Argentina versus Portugal for La Finalissima. I just thought about that. Argentina versus Portugal for the Finalissima. Let's be honest, we're not going to get Argentina and Portugal at the World Cup final. I'm sorry, but as much as Portugal has just won the Nations League, I do not see them going to the World Cup final. But I don't know, man. I'm saying Argentina, Portugal. Listen, even if Portugal, I'm good. I'm going on. I'm losing track. I'm losing track. Okay. Argentina is still a strong team. They won back-to-back Copa America, and now they're on their run for back-to-back wins at the World Cup. If they do so, they would be the first time, the second South American team to do so. Brazil, the first one in 58, 62, and the third overall. It it amazes me that how Argentina has maintained this high level. Um, you should, and it's not something I'm saying that like it's I don't know. It's crazy to see a current champion be this dominant almost 4 years later after having won the World Cup. Um, France didn't even look that strong. If we go back to 2022, France didn't look that strong. They were a contender to re-win it, but there were a lot of people that said Argentina was better. Even some were saying that if depending on the crosses go, how it goes against England, against Spain, and then Morocco came along and, and broke everyone's uh, checks. But that's the thing about being champion. And before that, remember, before that, Italy won 2006, and then they got up in the group stage in 2010. Spain won 2010. They got up in the group stage in 2014. Germany won 2014. They got up in the group stage in 2018. And France was the first one to break that cycle in a while, um, to by going all the way to the final, being this close once again to win back to back. And it was only because of they went to penalties. And that's how crazy that final is. But Argentina's in a different position because they still look like they can go and win this again. That is different to what France was. As as the year went by and France started getting like the injuries and the which players were going and which ones weren't, you looked at the squad and you knew that if this team won, it was going to be by the hand of Mbappe, and that was almost the case at the final, and that was almost the case with him with in the final, and then there was that one beautiful save by El Dibu Martinez. It amazes me that that these two teams were essentially the best squads in the world, and they gave us that performance. But now France right now is kind of dwindling after what we saw at the UEFA Nations League, and Argentina is maintaining their progress, having won the Copa America, still running amok. Even if they lost 3 matches, they still have 10 points over like second place and forget about everybody else. So now, am I saying that they're definitely winning the World Cup? No, but they are one of the top 3 contenders to win this whole thing once again. And to their credit, they've done everything well. They've done everything well. They've stayed consistent and great to the players to doing their part as well and staying, focused. Um, but yeah, and that's Argentina. All right, so those were the 4 teams that qualified in March. Obviously, then once tomorrow, June 10, happens and we see what other teams qualified, uh, then I'll talk about the second batch of teams that qualified to the World Cup. I'm also hoping to talk about um, the U17s and U20s World Cups that are happening. If I can't, I can't. Um, but that's kind of something that I'm looking to the future as well. So yeah, this is the whole entire video. Hope you will enjoy. What do you agree? What are your comments? What is, as somebody who only has one vision, if you're a fan of Iran, uh, do you think that they're gonna crash out, or do you think that this is their year? Japan, if you're a Japan fan, um, Japan fan, um, it rhymes. I'm sorry. Um, do you think that they can pull off something better than the last two World Cups, or do you think that their third times, third time the charm, or is this the one that's gonna be? So yeah, just let me know what you think, and if you think that everything that I shared is dumb and I'm wrong, then I'm done. I'm dumb and I'm wrong. So yeah. So take care. Have a great day, night, morning. Yeah, and God bless.